Shalom again, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.KosherTorah.com, bringing to you today's daily lesson in the Sefer Yetzirah. This is lesson 47 in our series, and of course, all of these classes are dedicated to the safety, health, well-being, and prosperity of everyone around the world today, facing all the obstacles that we are, reminding you, within every obstacle is the hidden opportunities. Seek them out. They are waiting for you. We are now going to begin chapter 3 in the text. And again, just like we had a shift at the end of chapter 1 to chapter 2, now we're going to have another shift from chapters 3 and 4 and 5. Chapter 1 dealt with our Sefirot Belima, as we know. Chapter 2 explained to us the power of the vessels that hold the light of the Sefirot. And we referred to those vessels as the gates. And we discussed all meanings and manners of the gates. With that as tools, because really chapter 1 and chapter 2 are technically both tools for now using the building blocks that we're going to outline in chapters 3, 4, and 5. Now, as we progress, again, even though Rabbi Chaim, our author of the commentary, his approach to the text is traditional, his view Kabbalistic. In the original and older schools of this material, like I've taught in my other classes, we had a much more prophetic, meditative, almost magical application, like we discussed in our previous class, the connections to the secrets of Maaseh Merkava and Maaseh Bereshit, which are the secrets of creation, which is exactly what we're dealing with in our text here. Remember, what are we doing? What is this whole book about? What is the purpose of it being written? It's not to outline to us doctrine, theology, or dogma. It is to teach us practical applications of things from which are going to materialize, all right? Things from here like a root and a branch. The branch is going to grow out of the root. It's actually the symbolic metaphor that Rabbi Chaim himself uses in our Mishna, which is going to be, again, the first Mishnah here of chapter 1. And the point is, if you really want to use this material, and why would you want to? Why would you want to learn how to use the Sefer Yetzirah? No, again, it's not so that we can create golems. We're not in the golem business. We're not in the golem market or anything of the kind. You know, creating golems and the like is more of a distraction than anything else. It actually reminds me of one of the chapters in Patanjali's Raja Sutras, which explains the depths of Raja Yoga, which is the yoga of the mind. Now, many people of a more ethnic point of view do not like me as an Orthodox rabbi quoting from non-Jewish sources. But I might remind those of you who find such objection the wise words of one of our greatest leaders, Rabbi Yehuda, the Nasi, the one who authored the Mishnah, the prince of the house of David, who said, Ezehu Hacham, who is truly wise? Halomed mekol Adam, one who learns from all. You see her in the background there, my little darling. Anyway, my point is, when we recognize what we call Yihud, unity, that God is in everything, as the Bible says, Malo kol haaretz kavodo, the world is full of God's glory, then we recognize that no matter where we look, or no matter what we see, like I say in our introductions, although you might see darkness and obstacles, if you will perform the function that we learned in the last chapter of the permutations and the weighings and the measuring, we can take the worst plague, nega, and reverse its order to make it oneg, pleasure. We can take the selfishness of ani, I, and transcend it with just a little switch into ain, nothing. So, even though these are symbols using words, understand the concept underlying it. Where and what is the will of God? Can you hear her in the background? Let me see if I can move the camera just a little bit. There she is. You see my little Sierra? There you go. That's my darling. Now you're going to say, Rabbi, you're talking Holy Kabbalah. Why would you bring a dog? To teach you the lesson. Malo kala aretz kavodo. God is in as much as Sierra's movement as she's in the contemplation of the Sefer Yetzirah. God is in just as much the movement of the dog as he is in the manipulation of letters that create a golem. And you could say, well, I don't see that. Yeah, that's your problem, that you don't. You still live in a concept of pirud, separation, isolation, division. And the first lesson of this first Mishnah in chapter 3 is to reinforce this concept of Yihud, unity. So no, I don't look at my darling Sierra as being a distraction. I look at her as just a different part of the wave that's flowing. Here she is. Say hello, Sierra. Say hello. Anyway, that's my darling. Okay, now right now. So my point is you have to understand and recognize the nature of the flow of things. We are now learning in chapter 3, Mishnah 1. Shlosh Amot Emesh, the three mothers, the three mother letters are the Aleph, the Mem, and the Shin. What are their powers? Do you remember? Reb Chaim says Yesodan, actually it's Sefer Yetzirah, Yesodan, their foundation, Kav Zechut, Kav Hovah, and the Lashon, Hok Machria Bentayim. You have the hand of merit, the hand of obligation, all right, innocence, guilt if you will, and of course the Lashon, the tongue, all right, which is like the law which balances between them. Now, this is the important point. Listen to the language. Why do we have a right hand, a left hand? Well, shouldn't we have like a middle hand? If you read in the Bible, when it speaks of God bringing the children of Israel out of Egypt, there's always the right hand of God, the left hand, the mighty hand, the strong hand, the powerful hand. It gives the implication of three hands. We don't have three hands, in case you haven't noticed. But you do have a tongue. And what does the tongue do? Like we've been learning, it speaks words. It is part of the 5 parts of the mouth, which forms the function of the vessel for the letters. And as that occurs, when we speak, you know something? Sometimes there's too much that you say. Sometimes there's not enough that you say. And sometimes it's right in the middle of the balance. Everybody has their own views. And I love using my dog as an example. Remember, dog spelled backwards is God, hidden within. Yeah. Oh, that's silly, Rabbi. Is it really? Kelev is the Hebrew word. Right within Kelev, you have the word lev, which is heart. Right? And the word for, whatchamacallit? No, whatever. We'll get into it later. Kelev is Gematria 52, numerical value of Eliyahu Hanavi, numerical value of the holy name of God, of Ben, all kinds of fun stuff there. So, I'm trying to help expand your minds rather than constrict them. Reb Chaim writes, Hakavanihi ma sheberarnu besod ha'ese amiran v'kabel tuyot shehem sod leab netibot. As we know, we are going to describe here the secrets of the 10 amiran sayings. Remember what a saying is? The reverberation of sound. He doesn't call them here Sefirot. Sefirot's up in the Blima. We have to take the Blima and put it into a vessel. And you have to look at the vessel and see what's in it. Wise words of Rebbe Meir from, again, Pirkei Avot. He said, Al tistekel b'kankan ela b'ma sheyesh ba. Don't look at the bottle or the barrel, rather look what's in it. Now, he's making a specific example of that with regards to sages and their age, but I'm going to tell you that this applies to everything everywhere. This is one of the great secrets that the Baal Shem Tov taught about doing Yihudim, spiritual unifications. And I've shared this with you in other classes as well, that you should look to see symbols, hints, references to higher spiritual realities in even the most mundane of things at the time. Even, the tail wagging of a dog. If you can't see God in that, then you're missing the point. That's the great secret. This is why I love to bring her into the moment. Simply because I know there are a lot of people out there very strict, very serious. Oh, Rabbi, you're separating and you're doing pirud, you're doing this and that. No, I'm not. Your mind is seeing separations and divisions that don't exist. Remember something. I believe in my faith that God is in control of everything. If my glasses were to fall off my face right now, whoop, somehow I could say, oh yeah, it's my fault, I did this, whatever. But ultimately everything comes from heaven. It's called going with the flow, rolling with the punches. Like the Baal Shem Tov said, look for the spiritual in everything. So even though, for example again, I can have my little dog, D-O-G, but it's really spelled backwards, G-O-D, God. No, my dog is not God, and I don't worship my dog. Please don't go crazy. But at the same time, I look towards her example of behavior. I'm not in control of it. Something else is. Rather than consider it an obstacle, a division, like in the martial arts, like in our Torah, you go with the flow. And that is the secret of the movement of the Sefer Yetzirah. Rabbi Haim continues, B'kol achad me'elu ashtei bechinot, tzarich sheyeh behem shlosha halakim. Within the concept of the Amiran, the Sefirot, and the letters, there needs to be three different, what he calls here, functions, halakim, or parts, if you will. And that is the chesed, the din, and the rachamim. Remember, Hesed, mercy, Din, severity, Rachamim, grace. Or expansive, restrictive, balance. How much is too much? How much is not enough? How much is right in the middle? If you find the one answer for that explains or applies to everything, gee whiz, then you must be God, because there is no such answer. Every individual circumstance, time, moment, and place is a specific combination of letters. And the proper balance for that specific combination of letters, which is the vessel, the time, and the place, is unique to itself. What's right for right now? Here I am in my office today. You are watching this video in your place at your time. You might be watching this video a day after I made it. A year or 10 years, and who knows if this will even survive into technologies in the future. I'm thinking of you, and you're thinking of me, and we have a connection. And yet within that connection, we have parameters and boundaries. Hesed, din, Rachamim, we call them. That's what our words are for it. And each culture has its own ways of expressing what exactly is the right balance. Hine, אמרנו שהקבלתיות נהנלקים לשלושה בחינות, הוא על דין זה, הוא על דרך זה, all right? When we say that the letters are divided up into our three energy forces, this is how we do it. Emesh, the first three letters, the mother letters, Bechinat Hesed. These correspond to the expansive of the Hesed. V'hine, behechrech, shebechol bechina. Now pay attention. Within each and every one of these three aspects, right, left, center, expansive, contractive, balance, kolula mekol hashlosha bechinot. Every one of the three is made up of three. So instead of having three, you have 9. And from the 9 comes the 1 and materializes back into the 1. There's your 10. So within our chesed, the right column, you have a hesed of the hesed. You have a din of the hesed. You have a rachamim of the chesed. On the din side, you have the chesed of the din of the din, and the rachamim of the din. Why is this important to understand? Because the one thing that you will never find in the universe are pure absolutes. There are no absolutes. I have heard so many times people say, I want the absolute truth, absolute power, absolute this, absolute, absolutely 100%. No such thing. No. Every something has everything else in it. This was the secret, like we discussed, about seeing the letters. We went through the gates. Aleph with all of them, all with Aleph. Bet with all with Bet. Now, for example, consider each letter to be a color. Yeah, I know we don't have 22 colors that I can just ramble off, but just for argument's sake. So you see all the 22 letters through the color of the Aleph. And then each and every letter is going to be a different shade of how it's viewed through the Aleph. The Bet is its own color. And you're going to view all the letters through the Bet, through its own shade. And being that you began with Bet and continued Gimel Dalet Hey till the Tav, the Aleph is all the way at the end. And the Aleph, therefore, is the farthest thing away to see, now isn't it? It's almost at the other end of the spectrum, which technically it is. What does our Torah begin with? The letter Bet. And that is why the Aleph, which is before it, is the farthest thing from it. And that's why it's the hardest to see. Even though we say that the letters are built and stacked like a wall, and we think of that in 2 or 3 dimensions, think of the letters really as cyclical like that. So the furthest you go to one way, you come back to the other. Think about this, in spite of the flat earthers out there. If you were to travel east, where would you ultimately end up? You could say, well, on the west. So if I were to take an airplane, just to avoid issues with land and sea, and I'm going to fly due east, I will eventually go circumvent the globe and come right back to where I began. I will tell you that if you could travel in the physical universe, you would do the exact same thing. Go out from planet Earth in that direction. Go out for 14, 15 billion light years. Keep going. You're going to come right back to where you began. That's the cyclical nature of things. And within that path, all things are. So within our emesh, you have each of the different aspects. Memele, all right? Behechrech, shebesod otiot emesh. Therefore, it's by definition, it's necessary that within the secret of the letters emesh, shehu bichinat chesed, which we just said is the chesed, shehiye nichlal bo gam din koach din verachamim. Within the hesed, like I said, you have the din and you have the rachamim. V'hine ber'arnu lamala, we've already just said above. Emesh shlosh rishonot shehem shlosh yesodot elazat. The 3 mothers, Aleph Mem Shin, as we're going to see, they're actually going to correspond in the Sefirot to the upper triad, Keter, or dot, Hokhma and Binah. And they're the ones that are going to mashpia, or influence, be the source of energy, like the branch to the root to the branch, to Zerampin, our higher selves. That face of God, which we call the small face. Again, this is all Lorianic, Chaim Vital, Zoharic language, but it's our inner psychology, and you can't divest from this. We see the big picture only within the context of Vaza. We can't go beyond that. Like the Bible says, no man can see my face and live. The in quote small face of God is what the Bible would call the back face of God. That is the Sheva Tachtonot, the seven, here. This is the secret of the seven letters. They're the seven doubles. That is the Bechinat Din. And of course, the 12 simple letters, they are the secret of the Rachamim. Okay, we're going to have to pick this up in our next class. Contemplate the ideas, and as a homework assignment for you, seek to find the hidden opportunity. I turned around the dogs making noise into an opportunity, a teaching opportunity to share with you a secret about the unity of God. I can do it, you can do it. And if you think I'm silly, okay, so I'm silly, big deal. You prove me better, and you be less silly. Find the secrets that are there. They're there for you. All you have to do is pierce the veil and look. Ariel Bar Tzadok here, KosherTorah.com. I'll see you all in our next class.